Supreme is one of the symbols of urban culture. It is the most exclusive urban clothing brand in the world and has managed to create an amazing phenomenon around it, thanks to its authenticity and scarcity. James Jebbia, the founder of Supreme, was always a skateboarding fanatic and founded his brand under the principles of this sport and its aesthetics. He grew up in Crawley, West Sussex, England, and since he was a teenager, he was very interested in having his own look and personality. He didn't like to shop in big department stores or clothing chains, where clothes were sold in large quantities. James was attracted by the first wave of skateboarders in the 80s, and above all, by their aesthetics and way of dressing. When he could, he would travel to London in search of small stores with an urban style to complement his closet. At the age of 18, James moved from England to New York's Soho neighborhood to work at Parachute. After a few years of working at Parachute, he opened the Union Store, which sold mainly British brands and streetwear. The business was going well, and after working in different stores, the idea of his own urban fashion business began to cross his mind. And in 1994, he opened the first Supreme store, located precisely in Soho. James knew the skateboard industry quite well, having worked for brands such as Stussy. He knew that his audience and consumers were very engaged, obsessive, and loyal, and that they were willing to spend large amounts of money in exchange for original and well-designed clothing. Although, to others outside the movement, it might seem that skateboarders didn't pay attention to the way they dressed, James was clear that they were actually a very careful group when it came to the clothes or brands they chose to wear. Precisely for this reason, Supreme never wanted to make large quantities of the same product, thus creating a kind of artificial scarcity and making their items much more desirable. Moreover, Supreme has never wanted to follow fashion trends, but has been able to protect its own identity, creating the trend itself. From the beginning, they knew how to transmit authenticity and passion for the skateboarding world. In fact, the first store in New York was designed with items hanging along the walls and free space in the center, so that skaters could enter directly on their skateboard. Its workers were real skateboarders, and many of the skateboards sold there had been designed by celebrities of the time. It is not surprising then that soon skaters from the New York scene were attracted to the store, and as a result, its popularity skyrocketed. James had definitely found a business model, and his success was the result of a good understanding of his target audience. But contrary to what you might think, even though demand was rising, supply remained pretty stable. This made the passion and craze to buy Supreme's products more and more, but it surpassed all expectations when it decided to start collaborating with artists and other major brands. Supreme has always been known for its collaborations, and some of the most famous ones have been with the North Face, Timberland, and Vans. With all that success, anyone would think that the next smart move for the company would have been to expand around the world and start opening stores everywhere, like other brands do. But that's not Supreme's strategy. The company decided early on to preserve its exclusivity and so far has remained true to its principles. James Jebbia has always been very careful about the number of stores he would open, as he has never wanted the brand to be available from anywhere in the world. The limited accessibility of its products is one of the key elements of its success. In fact, Supreme currently has only 14 stores worldwide, 4 in the United States, New York, Brooklyn, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, 4 in Europe, Paris, London, Milan, and Berlin, and 6 in Japan. All these factors have led to the emergence of a whole secondary market around the brand. The limited supply of Supreme products is creating a lucrative resale market. The phenomenon of resellers, together with the great frenzy in demand from consumers, has meant that products from the new collections are sold out the same day they are released, and just a few hours later, they appear for sale on websites such as eBay at double their original price. For example, during the collaboration with the North Face, one of its most anticipated jackets costing $298 sold out minutes after going on sale, and almost instantly began reselling on eBay for $700. With that huge imbalance between supply and demand, Supreme has become the most profitable brand to resell in the world. Due to the emergence of these resellers, the company has started to take measures to control the amount of items each person can buy. But sometimes all this craze and passion also brings its negative consequences, such as the many attempts to copy Supreme. Fake Supreme products abound in Asia, An example of a copyright lawsuit in Europe is the case between Supreme and the company Supreme Italia. The company copied entire Supreme collections, with the small difference that underneath Supreme it said Italy in very small print. Supreme won the lawsuit against the company in 2018, but they are allegedly still selling fake products in both the Spanish and Chinese markets. So much euphoria for each of Supreme's launches can generate chaos at times. For example, during one of its most anticipated collaborations with Nike, in which it had designed sneakers called Foamposite. The madness in the queue at the entrance to the store the day before the launch was such that the police were forced to intervene and evacuate people waiting in the street, and as a consequence, Supreme had to cancel the launch for that day. It is clear that James Jebbia was not wrong. He found in the world of skateboarding and urban fashion a dedicated and loyal audience that always looks forward to every new release and collaboration. But not only young people within the urban movement have been attracted by his designs, but many influential people like Kanye West or Lady Gaga have also been attracted by the brand. Supreme has managed in almost 3 decades to gain a share in the urban clothing market, thanks to know how to stay in its line of originality and exclusivity. What makes it stand out from other brands is precisely its business model and its way of controlling the amount of stock it puts on sale. Supreme could have opened thousands of stores around the world and produced many more items, as any successful clothing manufacturer would do, and probably generate much more money and become a large corporation. But then it would lose all its appeal and Supreme would become just another one of the bunch. All this causes that each new launch or collaboration is expected by their loyal consumers as an event, and that they crowd at the doors of the store at each change of season, eager to get their products, because they know that surely, if they do not buy that same day, the item they want will not have any more chance to get it, because Supreme will not produce it again. This circumstance makes the owners of these unique pieces feel extremely fortunate to have been able to get an object that many want. Therefore, the value of their products for their buyers is priceless, and it is precisely what makes the brand so desirable and has earned it the most devoted and loyal fan club in the world. Supreme's founder probably didn't consider massive financial success when he opened his small skate store in New York and started printing a few t-shirts for fun, yet he founded a global, market-leading, and consistently trending company. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.